Do
All
it.
right. Cool. Well, want to start off by thanking our sponsors. This couldn't happen without all those sponsors. So thank you. Check them out, everybody. All right. Let's see here. Oh, all right. And so welcome and thank you for attending our little session. We just wanted to talk about how to bring an idea to life. And I want to kind of have all of us introduce ourselves. Andrew, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. And really nice to be here and meet everyone. Looking forward to today's talk. I've started two startups and have about 10 years of product and more technical financial background.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zakir. I'm a product manager. I've been working in this domain for 10 plus years, worked in different geographies from UK to US. I've also had a stint in West Africa and Asia. Very happy to be here. Looking forward to make friends. Most of my experience has been towards fintech and retail domain.
Perfect. And I'm Tim Hu. I'm product manager with NetSpend. My experience has primarily been insurance, fintech. I've been a product manager for about 5 years, so I'm the newbie of the group. So let's kind of kick it off. So why did we want to have this talk? Well, I think it's not a new idea. There are a lot of ideas out there, but a bunch of them end up failing or never getting off the ground. I mean, what are the reasons, right? Maybe you don't have the buy-in from your stakeholders. You don't have the buy-ins from the people holding the bags of money. Maybe you yourself as the product person either don't believe in the idea or you don't understand the idea, right? Maybe the other problem is you had one great idea that turned into 50. You never figured out which one to go forward with. So that's kind of a couple of common issues. And between Ahad, Andrew, and myself, we've had some experiences launching ideas, and we've picked up a few tricks along the way that we'd love to share with you. So, just setting kind of the groundwork is who we think you are, our audience. We believe that you're either maybe a founder, maybe you're a newer product manager, and you've been tasked with bringing an idea to life, so to speak. Maybe you're just kind of curious how someone else might, take some vague thought and bring it all the way to the end and turn into an executable plan. You might pick up all of that from this discussion here. Our format's going to be a little different, a little interesting. We're going to have kind of Ahad and Andrew chime in to kind of add some color, bring in some of their subject matter expertise to the topic. And, we're going to talk about a lot of tools, tips, and tricks. We're not going to dive into all those items in detail. I think there's a lot of material online where you can learn more about it, but we want to introduce all these tools to you and talk about how we kind of use them in a kind of blueprint-like format. So we're going to go through 3 components. We're going to go through a discovery component, how to collaborate, and then towards the end, we'll quickly touch on planning. And all of that is really, you put all that together and they're geared towards, how to take this vague idea and turn it into like an executable plan that you can move forward with and actually work with. All right, so first phase is discovery. So Ahad, do you want to talk a little bit about, when someone comes to you with a brand new idea, what are some of the challenges that they can expect?
Yeah, Tim, thanks. I think one of the first challenges that I, as a product manager, face when I interact with the founder or a team who wants to create something is just the sheer volume of information that you get in the initial sessions. The founders are generally very passionate about their ideas, especially if they've done certain level of research. So you get a lot of information. It's kind of an information overload. And then the challenge comes that because as a product manager, you need to extract that information. You have to connect dots between different ideas. And you basically need to help the founders and the team to create a vision. So it's tough to connect those dots if you don't organize that information well, if you don't organize their ideas well. So generally, these kind of challenges can be solved by a product manager to be an organized project manager. Whenever you talk to a founder, you need to make sure that you set the expectations. So let's say if you're trying to have some discovery sessions, break them down into multiple sessions, have clear entry and exit criteria so that you both know what you're going to get out of it. And lastly, I'm a big proponent of using the right tools for right exercises. So that really helps.
Yeah, thank you, Ahad. And we would recommend, between the three of us, you do a couple things as kind of the product person, or maybe even the founder. You end up playing that role anyway. We want to help form that vision, whoever, whether it's your own idea or you're trying to execute on someone else's idea, help form the vision, help kind of shape the problem you're trying to solve, the user that you're solving it for, help shape that, document some of that. And we're going to give you some tools to help do that. And we think that adopting that vision as your own is also very important. So we're going to talk about that. And sometimes the idea is not great. Sometimes the idea just doesn't shake out. You may want to recommend kind of shutting it down. So we'll touch on that as well. So forming that vision, right? Ahad, you want to talk about what you've done as the product manager to help do this?
Yeah, so the first bullet point, what does a PM do? I think that's extremely important. At this stage, a PM is basically a catalyst to get things going, get ideas and thoughts from a product founder or somebody who has the idea and bringing it towards a more solidified vision. I would like to explain this by quoting an example. So I was working with this founder, very passionate, had a good level of detail of data and research. And there were two founders. So I recommended that let's break down the discovery session to different sprints. And then the first sprint for 2 weeks was for me asking them questions so that I am on the same page as they are, which is very key for a product manager. We start the session and I get bombarded with this information and I feel very good about it that I'm in a better place now to understand what they want to do. At the end of the session, I'm using Google Maps and I see this block of data that's there. And I'm thinking that I'm going to have similar level of information for the next 2 weeks. So this is not actionable information for me. I can't absorb it well. I spoke around with my colleagues if anybody had similar issues. And that's where I got introduced to a mind map by MindMeister. And then what I did was I took that information, I started using that mind map for all my other sessions. I started with this big one circle with the name of the company, the startup. And within 2 weeks, it morphed into a big spider web. It was fantastic. So it had information from the idea, the thoughts of the founders, the feelings of the founders, how they were feeling about it, the concerns, regulatory impacts, users, compliances, and it was all on one canvas. So I could connect the dots. And the good thing is that the founders appreciated that. It was something that was missing on their side too, to visualize their thoughts and ideas. I think maybe this is where Andrew can chime in if he has found this useful using a mind map.
Yeah, I think that was really well said, Ahad. And I find this extremely useful from the founder perspective. And a really brief example is one of the companies I've founded is a ski travel company where we bring people all around the world. So Japan, France, Chile. And it's really easy to be laser focused on the value prop of we're bringing people to really interesting places around the world. And the mind map was super helpful from the founder perspective, where we were able to really take a step back and identify those blind spots. So for instance, the regulatory environment in Chile or France or wherever we're going, it allows us really just to think through all of those blind spots and permutations.
Yeah.
So super helpful.
Absolutely. So, in the beginning, lots of data, lots of information. How do you visualize that? How do you consolidate all of that very quickly and easily, right? We recommend using a mind map, in the early stages of an idea. And as you get more specific, maybe you want to shift over to a concept map. We're not covering those in detail, but tons of material. We're going to give you some links to look into that towards the end. But both great tools that we recommend. But there are so many out there. This slide right here basically is recommending for you to, as the product person, help brainstorm and help form the idea. Go ahead and take your problem to Google, and maybe Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever your preferred search engine, can give you some tools that you will find even more helpful, right? So we, of course, eat our own dog food. for our presentation, it was an idea and we made a mind map. So here's what we put together. This really helps, again, us form our idea, help bring really some concreteness to it, what problem we're trying to solve, who our audience needs to be. We kind of cover all of that, and it really helped form what we're presenting to you today. All right, so adopting the vision. Why is that so important? Well, I think part of being that product manager is really believing in that idea, really understanding whatever the idea, whatever that vision is. Hopefully you've helped form it and shape it. Well, when you do that, your founder or whomever owns the idea really can trust you now to kind of take actions on their behalf. Your stakeholders believe that you're going to do the right thing because they trust you. That's going to afford you the autonomy to kind of move forward. It's going to let you make these micro decisions at the lower levels. That's going to allow you to execute so much faster. So absolutely adopt the idea. We really think that's going to help streamline that process. All right.
Yeah, Tim, I look at the product manager as a point man. So the whole team is looking up to you, right? How do I move forward? And there's something that you said that really is very important about the trust. You can't guide a team forward if the team doesn't trust you. So that once you adopt a vision or an idea as your own, there are three things that happen. You create trust, you create credibility, and you also create confidence. You might have trust and credibility. If you don't have confidence, you can't really move forward as efficiently as you would like to. So it's very key to adopt the vision as your own, because that's when you can really push things, move forward. And I think that's the difference between an excellent product manager and a good product manager.
I completely agree. And from that founder's perspective, when I'm bringing in a product manager, that's one of the first things I look at is, am I going to be able to align with this person? And in a best case scenario, can this PM or PO take the vision and actually articulate it even better than myself? Yeah. And if that can be created, then what Tim and Ahad are saying of increased speed, minimizing that double checking of work, or are we making the appropriate decision, are really eliminated. And it's really powerful in that when you have that alignment of vision and interest.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Yeah, make it your own for sure. So as with all ideas, some are bad, and sometimes someone may have to raise that flag going, maybe we shouldn't do this. Right. And so you want to take that idea and that vision and go, well, do my customers want it? Do I have customers? Do I have to make this market like the iPhone, or am I filling a need that already exists? Right. Do we do it better than our competition? You want to think about that. And then is it worth it, right? Is there that total addressable market? Is there that serviceable, obtainable market to kind of justify the dollars that you're going to have to spend to make this happen? So definitely think about these things. And, as the product manager, it may be your job to go, no, let's shut it down. This doesn't make sense. Part of that decision-making is data every single time. So absolutely make that a part of your decision-making process.
Right. Yeah, I think data is the key, and I think in the next ProductCon, that is something we need to tackle. That requires its own time. But one thing I would like to go back to is when you adopt the vision, what it also helps you to do as a product manager is to be a good storyteller. You want, rather the founder, I think that's something what Andrew just spoke about. He wants his product manager to be able to articulate his ideas and tell stories around it to other stakeholders so that things can move forward. You can get buy-in from different stakeholders. A personal example from my case, when I started on this project with a founder, I wasn't I was doing a generic product management, and product marketing was not part of it. And I was fine with it because I didn't have that much experience on the marketing side. A month into it, I got a call one afternoon from the founder, and I could hear a hint of frustration in his voice. And he was like, he had hired an external marketing agency, and he was dealing with them directly. And he said he can't do it anymore because it's just not working out. They're stuck. They can't move forward. And he said that he wants me to manage the marketing agency as well. And at that time, I'm thinking, why would he want me to do that? Right? Because I have this notion in my on my side that I don't have that much experience on the marketing side. And then he answered it himself. He said, because I like the way you articulate of what I want to do with my company, with my idea, with my product. And that was it. And then introduced me to the marketing agency, and I started running it. So that trust that you gain and that confidence, that was a big confidence booster for me too. And since then, I'm a big fan of product marketing. So yeah, it's very important to be a good storyteller after owning the vision.
Yeah, and really tying that back also to just how data is king, right? As Tim had alluded to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
having that help make decisions, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. All right. So that, really the first phase, that discovery component, you want to help form that, shape that, shut it down if you need to. That all ties back to trying to bring that idea that much closer into an executable plan. That's what we're trying to do here today. And so the second piece we want to talk about is collaborating. I think don't have to explain why collaborating is important, right? But what is it that you have to do to ensure successful collaboration? We're going to talk a little bit about that. So the product manager, I think you're really responsible for two things. You're responsible for communicating and setting expectations. How frequently you communicate, internal, external, and who those folks are that you need to talk to. That's within the realm of the product manager, product owner. All right. So just kind of moving on along here. So we want to talk about a couple of useful tools, tips, and tricks that we've picked up. We think you might find useful. The number one thing on this list right here is governance model. We love it. That governance model, and we're going to show you an example in just a minute, but it basically can help align all your stakeholders, let them know what meetings you need to have, what the expectations, deliverables need to be, who your stakeholders are, assign those meetings, assign those agendas, set that up front, get everyone aligned, make sure that you're communicating all those ideas very clearly and very quickly. A couple other tools that we want to talk about are templates in all things. So software, development typically involves Confluence, it involves Jira. Well, there are a lot of templates in those tools that you can utilize, right? Maybe you want to do a status update. Well, Confluence already has that template. Maybe you want to do a PRD. Confluence already has that. Do a quick Google search, kind of make your life a little easier and utilize those templates. Sometimes they already have things that you weren't even thinking about. All right.
I'm a big fan of tools. And you mentioned about Confluence. I'm using that currently in my current project. It's fantastic. The templates, they've been made looking at from the experience of other product managers who have been working in this field for a few years. And it's just so much better than opening a template which tells you what information is needed and where you want to put it. Just like you said, Tim, there are templates ranging from creating OKRs, business strategy, customer service, personas, roadmaps, everything is there. It's like it handholds a product manager and makes them walk through the process. It just makes your work very efficient. I think a product manager needs to be very aware of what's out there in the market for them and use those tools and templates.
Absolutely. And the next thing, just chat. I think everyone uses chat, but the point here is you just want to make sure that you have some real-time communication with your folks, be able to move, pivot quickly, and kind of make these decisions and communicate in real time.
Right, and something to always remember, there's so many different options and new technologies being developed. Just be open. Just be open. There's not going to be a one size fits all for any project or feature that you're working on. So just maintain that open mindset.
Absolutely. Just think about what you need, do that Google search, and maybe you're going to find something new that you can use. So as promised, here's our governance model. What you'll notice is there's just a lot of Scrum ceremonies up here, but it's super useful because you can kind of make this artifact, share it, and instantly have alignment and set expectations, communicate very clearly. So we're happy to kind of share this towards the end here. Is there anything you want to talk about here? Or do you want to just kind of jump into the next slide?
I think we can move to the next slide. I'm just a bit concerned about the time as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to save some time for discussions too. So we're kind of moving along. So what if you don't do any of these things? What if you're not collaborating, communicating? What if you're not helping set that vision? Very simply, it's time, cost, quality, right? Maybe it's going to take you more time. As a result, cost you more money to implement your idea. That could be the difference between moving forward and shutting the whole thing down. And quality of as well, right? You can have a very frustrating collaboration time, or it can go very smoothly. And so make sure that pay attention to these items. You may or may not use them, but as long as you know them, I think we've done our job here. All right, so the last phase that we would want to talk about very quickly is just planning. Uh, so at this point, if you've kind of done all the homework, you're 90% of the way there, right? If you've adopted the vision, you're going to be able to make the best decision for the project management methodology, whether it's waterfall or agile. Maybe in fintech, you want to do a version of Scrum Fall. You're going to make that decision as the product manager and make a good one. You want to really focus on users as well. You want to really focus on the problem that you're trying to solve and who your customers or users, buyers will be. Ahad, you want to really quickly talk a little bit about some of the challenges kind of with writing stories and focusing on the user?
Yeah, I mean, look, these processes are very well defined. You just need to know how to use them and follow the process. Um, One challenge that I face personally, and I've seen other new product managers struggle as well, is in writing user stories. You would think that they're very easy to write, but it depends on your mindset. If you don't have the right mindset while writing user stories, you will kind of shift towards requirements more, especially if you come from a tech background like I do. A user story needs to be written from a mindset of the user. That's the basic rule. And then you need to have a clear distinction or understanding of distinction between a user story and a requirement. I look at it from in this way, that a user story is to tell how a user will use a product to solve his problem. And a requirement is how a system works which solves a user's problem. So it's just how you look at it. It's a mindset. And then the last thing to solve this issue or to write good user stories is to use the right format and then have consistency of that format through all the user stories. So an easy way to understand it is by using the format of who, what, and why. So who is doing what and why are they doing this? That really helps you to define a user perspective in writing user stories. And if you do that correctly, it might seem an easy thing to do, but if you do this easy thing correctly, you would end up creating a product that really solves a user's problem.
Absolutely. And so that, that second bullet there, the user is basically what you're doing, what you're going to build, right?
Yeah.
The next thing you have to do now that you know what you're going to do is you want to think about what you want to do next. What's the first thing I want to do? What's the next thing I want to do? So prioritization, we've listed a couple tools here, but you're not limited to that. Ahad, you want to talk about how to make that decision process?
Yeah, I love prioritization, especially when it comes to dealing with the founders, like telling them what is more important. Of course, there can be discussions around it. And I want to state this, that prioritization is it's not just a product manager's job, right? A product manager collaborates in this whole process. Yes, he does take ownership of the output, but the inputs needs to come from the whole team. We've written Moscow and Rice here. I'm a big fan of both tools. I've used both in different situations. It depends on the circumstance, what kind of project you're working on. That helps you decide what tool you want to use for prioritization. If I'm working on a blue sky project where I'm trying to create something from scratch, I would definitely lean towards Moscow because it's more efficient in that scenario. I don't have a lot of data at that stage for the different features that are candidate features at that stage. So I would just segregate them under must-haves, should-haves, could-haves, and won't-have. And that's more efficient and it's very productive as well. And RICE, which stands for reach, impact, confidence, and effort. That's something is generally used if you're working on a product which is already out there in the market. So for example, if I'm working for LinkedIn and I'm responsible as a product manager of the reactions feature, That feature is being used by millions of people out there in the market. There's a very strong data around it from a user perspective, business perspective, finance perspective, revenue, etc. So I need to make sure I get my decisions right. Otherwise, it will have can have an adverse impact. So I would definitely want to use RISE in that way, where I can calculate the R, the I, the C, and the E for all the features, and then be able to come up with a prioritization.
Awesome. So we're just going to quickly wrap up here, but we can't get away from cost and effort estimation and why, that's important. No one better to talk about that than a founder himself. So Andrew, why don't you chat about that?
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember that there's finite resources that are available to an organization. So that's manpower, that's money, technology, and it's really more. I like to think of it more as an art than science. Like every situation is going to be different. Prioritizing what's going to provide the most net present value is really a unique discussion. So. Leaning on your PM to provide the best estimation for these guesses or estimations is really imperative for the founder in making these determinations. So it's really leveraging all information, and that's where, sort of back to everything we've discussed, it's really important to have that clear picture, or as clear as you can. So again, back to that data approach.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And so the last thing you need to put together is now like that delivery plan, right? You think about what you started with, just some vague idea. And now hopefully you've put together a mind map to really hone in the direction you want to go, really get all the information documented to make an accurate choice, really think it through. And then you want to maybe put together a governance model to kind of capture everything, communicate and set expectations flawlessly. And with a little bit of planning, you write your user stories and what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, figure out when you're going to deliver it in terms of a schedule. Well, you're now ready to package all that up. Maybe you take it to a founder, maybe you want to take it to your executive and execute flawlessly. So hopefully you found some of that useful, and hopefully we have some time for questions as well. Actually gonna move a little forward. We do have some links that we'd love to share with you in maybe in the chat or in the Slack channel. But yeah, please, keep in touch. We'd love to hear about your thoughts and whether or not you found any part of this presentation useful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
So I posted some questions directly to Tim privately. You may have kind of answered already, though.
All right, let's see. Ooh, there are quite a few. Okay, so maybe we can. Okay, so what does it say? It was in the Zoom chat. First question. Oh, I see it now. Have you found any helpful tools besides Miro or Mural that have worked to share these concepts and form or align the stakeholders' vision? We specifically talked about mind map, and the tool we used and we love is MindMeister. And so that's going to be a link that we're going to share with you. Ahad, Andrew, is there anything you want to talk about there in terms of tools to help kind of share concepts and form and create alignment?
Yeah, so I've used Miro and MindMap from MindMeister. They both do the job. Personally, I felt it was easier for me, which was more efficient for me, because you need to look at it this way, because you are talking to a founder who's sitting in front of you. And then at that same time, you're trying to understand what he's saying and also trying to document that information. So I just found that MindMaster was more efficient and helped me be more efficient when I was talking to a founder to understand it as well, same time document it too. So, but both are good. My personal choice is MindMap by MindMeister.
Awesome. So we've got a second question here. We've got quite a few, so I'm going to try to get to as many as we can. So what have you had, basically, have we had experience trying to influence senior leadership to view product management in a more strategic light? I'm going to give a shout out to my current boss, Jim Chittister. I don't know if he joined, but I think one thing that's very useful is data. Andrew said data could be an hour-long session on its own. Try to get that market data. Try to put some numbers behind what you're trying to do and the type of influence you want to make. We've got a lot of companies, bigger companies, that are very sales driven instead of market driven, because the sale and the deal has dollars tied to it. So that's very tangible. Well, bring in some other data. Talk to them about what that market looks like, could be. Maybe bring in some survey data, just information that can be tangible, easy to wrap your head around, easy to prove, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's your opinion or mine, I'm going to go with mine every time. So
Right.
anything you guys want to talk about a little bit about influencing senior leadership?
I would say I think what Tim said was very important. And another thing I'd add to that is creating these allies in whether it be virtual or in real life, but creating these allies so that when you then go to senior management, you already have buy-in from one or two other people, and you can maybe pick up one or two of their perspectives that you can add to your case in justifying the value proposition that you're really trying to present. So I like to try to win small battles before I go to war. It's the way I like to think about it.
Yeah, I would like to ask something which is more trivial than what Andrew and Tim mentioned here. I think product management, and this is not just for the leadership role, I think that cuts through all the levels in an organization. I think product manager is one of those roles where an EQ is of prime importance. So data and all these other things will help you make the right decision. But in order for you to influence another person, just like what Andrew said, to identify and have allies on your side, you need to have that personality as well. And when I say personality, it means physically, verbally, the way you write, your tone, the kind of words that you use. And people who can actually do that, who have this can be learned, but some people have this innate ability. And I think they are always 2 steps ahead from other product managers. But people who don't do this, they have to realize that these qualities are extremely important to be an excellent product manager.
Well said, Ahad.
Thank you, guys. All right, so let me see if there are any more questions in that
Yeah,
chat.
we do have more questions, but let's actually take them into the Green Channel Slack chat because we're out of time and we need to transition to the next person.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, stay in touch. Thank you, everybody, and we really appreciate you joining our
Thank
chat.
you. And
Yes,
Christina,
thank you so
much for
much.
moderating. It was a great experience.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, wait, we have like 5 more minutes. We can do like 5 more minutes. So.
All right.
Oh, great.
All right, cool.
That's perfect.
Let me see. I was looking at the Slack channel and I saw some good shout. I just want to shout out Roger. Requirement is not how to do it. I love that. So yeah, make sure you're paying attention to that. So Jim asked, how does the PM engage in the design of the user experience and interface? I think the product manager really want to start, you want to start with that vision and that idea, the problem and job to be done. What's the problem you're trying to solve, who your user is? And then really, if you're able to adopt that vision, you can engage that experience as the customer, right? You can try to be, all right, well, if I'm the customer, what do I do? And you want to try to kind of put in that feedback, put yourself in their shoes, and try to take that as a first approach. You guys have anything to add to that?
I know. I think you said it really well, Tim.
Yeah, so the current project that I'm working on, it's a B2C product. And one of the key importance that we have, because we have very strong competitors already out there in the market. And the key component for us is having a good user experience. I think the first thing from my experience, what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to set up the team at this point of time. And I'm giving a lot of importance of having the right user experience person on board. And that really helps because this guy doesn't have to just design what you're trying to create. This guy also has to be on the same wavelength as you are, as the founders are. And he needs to be there along the complete process. He also needs to challenge you as a product manager. So we don't want a user experience guy who just takes actionable items and just completes his task. We want a person who has that product management element in him or her, and he challenges you and comes up with solutions. Another thing I've seen work very well is when you bring a user experience person on board, you don't tell them solutions, right? You don't tell them what's in your mind. You don't make them biased. Just tell them what the problems are and then help them to help you to define solutions.